Governor Ralph Northam, a racist photograph was discovered in a yearbook page in Virginia. It was a picture of him and one of his friends from 1984. One person was dressed in blackface and the other was in a Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, uniform. And after his first apology, Governor Northam lied and said it wasn't him in the photo. And then he defied calls from his fellow Democrats, because he is a Democrat. So he won't resign now. And I won't lie. Democrats are now speaking far more bluntly about issues of race, identity, and immigration, especially with Donald Trump being our president. Governor Northam also pretended to be dressed as Michael Jackson, so he says. But let's be honest, it looks nothing like Michael Jackson. What do you think?
Oh no, that was not even close to being Michael Jackson. I think when he first lied, he thought nobody would look further into details to actually confirm it was him. And once they were able to, he's like, oh, now I had to make up a reason why I was just in blackface, and hopefully this is a reason that's appropriate enough. Which I think he was responding to a certain certain people, because there are white people currently who still think blackface is okay for Halloween, which is unacceptable.
It is extremely unacceptable.
Yeah, they don't understand the reason why blackface is okay, the connotation behind it, its history and meaning, and I don't think they fully grasp the whole point of blackface and why it's so insensitive and racist and rude to have it on.
Megyn Kelly, a while ago, I did a piece on her, and she said, I don't know why people get upset over Caucasian white kids dressing up in blackface for Halloween. And what her and some of the people don't understand is that blackface for pop culture started misinterpretation for blacks with pop culture. Okay, I study this. I do pieces on pop culture, and I'm glad we're getting this out of the way now, that especially during a time of Black History Month. Shout out to that, you know, Black History Month. I'm glad we're talking about this, because this is something that needs to be discussed, okay? People need to understand that something like this is insensitive. It is disgusting, and we need to address it. And the problem with him not resigning is he only proves a point in how the Republicans are saying the Democrats are just hypocrites. They always talk about race and how Donald Trump is racist and how Republicans are racist and this and that. But you have a Democrat who has a picture, whether he's dressed in the Ku Klux Klan outfit, whether he's dressed as the blackface outfit, who cares? They're both disgusting. They're both racist. And the problem with that is that's what some people don't understand. And we need to understand it.
Yeah, they don't realize blackface was meant to be a mockery of black people. They over-exaggerated the caricatures of their face, their lips. They made them they exaggerated how the lips were so big, and they exaggerated how wide the black people's noses were. And that's based off slavery. They used to actually host events in blackface, mocking black people and their dancing, how they would dance and everything. And that's why blackface is not okay. It will never be okay. It's the same reason why you cannot dress as a Native American for Halloween. You can't mock people. You cannot. That's just not acceptable. Even you're dressing as Michael Jackson, you can wear specific features that like him, like an afro. You can wear similar clothing, but you don't have to do blackface. Just when people ask you who are you, you can be I'm Michael Jackson. If they don't understand, that's fine.
You can still have the glove. You can still have the outfit.
There's so many pieces of Michael Jackson.
Just don't paint yourself black. Yeah. Just don't do that. Don't do that. You have to understand that it's a bigger world. Okay, it's not black and white. It's a bigger world. You are in a time where there's supposed to be peace and equality. Dr. King spoke about this. There should be equality. And people have fought, aside from Dr. King, people have fought for blacks to be equal, just as equal as whites.
And to be equal means not to be mocked because of their certain features of their face or of their body in general, or to be considered as one, when people say, oh, all black people look alike, that's also rude and racist because you're just assuming based on certain features that we're all the same. That's not okay. The same thing as blackface.
And it's a shame that we have to explain this on a month that we should be celebrating
it's a shame we have
Black
to explain
history.
That at all.
We should celebrate Black history. Why do we have to go all the way back to talk about something that has just done nothing but just defraud us? It done nothing but just it's just a total fraud of who we are.
I think it's really also rude, very, very rude, when he was in the interview, he was asked to do the somebody asked him if he could still do the Michael Jackson moonwalk, and he wanted to do it, but his wife stopped him.
Exactly. And
Which
it's
I
like,
think-
what the heck
yeah.
is this guy doing? Why?
Like the
why?
fact that he thought like, hey, maybe I should do the moonwalk, or the fact that the interviewer even asked him that question when they were discussing his blackface
Yes.
and why it was terrible, like a terrible thing to do.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna moonwalk for you guys.
Like,
let
even
me
though I
make
did
it. Let me make it
blackface.
worse for us.
Yeah.
Let me do the moonwalk. Come on, man. Like, come on. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Like, who in the world is his crisis team? I want to know who his crisis team is.
I don't know if it's his crisis team or himself, but either one, they did a very poor job of managing the situation.
Horrible
because
job.
when I had a class where we had to be crisis team in ourselves. We were in a campaign, like a fake mock campaign,
Yeah.
and we had to deal with a candidate who possibly had some like really deep, serious crises, like issues that were possibly going to be leaked. So what we were told, if we were being a crisis team, is if an issue is leaked that's very controversial, first off, you'd never lie on it, because otherwise, once you lie, you can't go backwards. Like, once you lie, then your entire reputation is ruined, because you're like, oh, well, they lied on this, what else are they lying about? So one of the first things he should have done is admitted that it was him, and then just did like a proper response, like apologizing and saying like these were, not that it'll excuse it, but like these were his college days, he didn't know any better, and now that he's learned it.
Here's the thing. I'm a big expert on social media. I'm also a big thing on pictures and videos that were taken. Okay, keep in mind, and I'm not saying that this makes it any better. I'm not saying it makes us any worse, but keep in mind the years. Okay, This was 1984. Okay, this was around a time, and in my study, and I'll show everybody my study another time. But in my study, I have written that African Americans were described as crooks, as criminals, nothing but just something that is just demeanor to them. This was 1984. Okay, past the 60s, and it's definitely past the 50s. This wasn't 1954. And there's a big difference with that. In 1950s, there was talks about, interracial dating, interracial marriage. Just talks about that, and including separation for black schools and white schools, especially. So when you're talking about something that happened in 1984, it doesn't matter because it's just as insensitive.
Yeah.
And it's even more insensitive that he lied about it. And can we talk about Governor Northam's apology? Because you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. Let me just tell you this. It was sorry. It was so sorry. Okay, it looks in the camera. You can tell that he was on a teleprompter. You can just tell that he was on a teleprompter. Okay, blank face.
That photo and the racist and offensive attitudes it represents does not reflect that person I am today or the way that I have conducted myself as a soldier, a doctor, and a public servant.
Robotic voice. Come on. Come on.
Red
sorry.
was scripted to him. It was a straight script.
It was a sorry.
He probably doesn't realize how serious that photo is, or like how detrimental it is to his campaign and to the Democratic community in itself, and the fact that he will not resign.
Especially for the black community in Virginia.
And they wanted to support him, and now they look stupid because they're like, well, we supported this person, and now we realize he does blackface, and now he won't resign, and that's I don't even understand how I don't know how I would feel if I voted for him and I felt.
My dad, I want to bring up him because he grew up in Virginia. He grew up in Fredericksburg, along with my grandmother and my grandfather and my aunt. And Virginia, from what the stories he told me, and I've been there multiple times visiting my grandparents, Fredericksburg's a lovely place. Virginia's a lovely state. And it's not funny, but it's like you just don't think about stuff like this. Because one, it's down south, okay? And down south, especially in these times, it's not as good as the north. It really isn't. It really isn't. And then you have stuff like this, who just so happens to be a Democrat, who has this photo, okay, gets released on social media, denies and lies about it, tells a horrible and sorry apology on national television, and then, like I said, he tries to moonwalk. and then people are just gonna be like, never happened. Okay,
Yeah.
never happened.
I don't think now
That's
with the current
hypocrisy.
movements that we
Hypocrisy at
have,
its finest.
the current movement we have, like our current generation, how they're not allowing anything to slide, such as racism, misogynistic comments, and all these like insensitive comments and ideals. They're not allowing it to slide. So I think they will continue to advocate for him to resign, or if he continues to refuse, then it's obvious he won't get elected in the next term.
Well, here's the thing. He should resign.
I definitely believe he should. Yeah.
He should resign. Okay? He should resign. Just the way the people need to understand, especially the people of Virginia, okay? And I believe they already understand this, but I'm just saying it now. People who have had something like this inside them, okay? It's not like saying, oh, I was racist yesterday and I'm no longer racist today. No. You probably still have it inside you.
Yeah.
You probably still have that feeling of rage, insecurity. You have that feeling of disgust and hatred inside of you still. It might not be as visible as it was back then because things were different, obviously back in 1954, in 1984 especially, but you still have it. And the one thing I want to say too in the military, and you might not know this, but I know this because I looked it up. You know what his nickname was?
What?
Coonman. Coonman. And that's something that he never denied. It was brought up that too. It was brought up on CNN. It was brought up on CNN. Coonman. I just can't believe. Like, why would you like? It's funny when people say, "Oh, it was back in the day." That's never gonna get brought up. That's never gonna get brought up. And what really just hits the pin on the target, just hits that one pinpoint target, is that anything can be brought up from whether it was from the 60s, from the 50s, it can always be brought back up.
Yeah.
Regardless of how you look at it, it's a part of social media, but most importantly, it's a part of history.
Yeah.
And history, you can never erase history. Never erase history. You're never gonna erase black history, especially something as serious as blackface. You're never gonna erase that. You're never gonna erase stuff as the Ku Klux Klan, because that happened.
Yeah, it's still happening.
And it's still happening. They still exist.
Yes.
So, bottom line, Governor Northam should resign.
Oh yeah.
And he needs to resign and give a full-blown, unscripted apology. And whoever his crisis communication team is, they need to be fired. Every single last one of them gone. See you later.